Hi guys, thanks so much for coming, as Jason said. So I'm Chris Bailey, I'm the lead technical pre-sales consultant at Jigsaw 24, the M&E division. I had the privilege of getting to go, that's a nice picture of me and Jason there, enjoying the HPA in sunny Palm Springs, California, and interestingly was the second coldest recorded February in history. My first time in California when it was freezing. Thanks very much for that. But anyway, if you guys are unaware what the HPA is, so it's basically ground zero for tech innovation in the M&E industry. So it brings together all the kind of creative heads, so engineering, tech, creative, and business parts of the M&E division. And this is all kind of put on by the Hollywood studios to bring tech innovation and the kind of future of media creation and workflow. It's a completely unique event. It's nothing like the usual trade shows that we go to, like IBC or NAB. It's not kind of 10,000 stands of people trying to sell relatively similar things or buying satellites in Hall 1, for instance. It is a much smaller event, and it's completely focused on M&E studio workflows from acquisition to delivery. So all ideas are explored and debated throughout the entire event. So it's not like you go and see a vendor at their stand. Everything is basically debated. And the really important part of this is actually the first proper M&E event since COVID. Obviously, we had CES 2022, which I hear was a bit of a laugh. We saw a good presentation from someone in the HPA actually about that, and LG with their QR codes on a box to save their stand space for next year. So the format of HPA goes, there's breakfast roundtables in the morning, nicely over a nice cooked breakfast, and you basically debate the specific topics around the seminars that are covered. And then there's a full conference schedule over the 4 days where there are keynotes and in-depth panels with some of the top people in the media industry and the studios. And it's all based around focused topics. And then in the other side of the show is an innovation zone. So there's 50 or so vendors, so much smaller than what you get from a normal trade show, but completely focused and dedicated to what is being said at the conference schedule. And they also run the breakfast roundtables about what they're demonstrating as well. So I'm going to start with a bit of fun. So consumer trends for M&E, this is always a bit of a laugh, but these are really important things that are actually kind of drive what we do, and we drive what consumers do as well. So a big topic was the Metaverse, virtual reality, and influencers influencing you to buy stuff via virtual reality and AI humans. There's a couple of very creepy AI humans actually having a conversation, and they're trying to kind of better each other, and that's how they've been taught. And the way they were kind of going about this is we can start integrating these things into post and studio workflows by integrating virtual humans into set design and into virtual productions and things like that. But kind of where do you draw the line? So actors kind of trying to patent themselves just in case they die and someone reuse them afterwards. So unless you're Mark Hamill, for instance, who seems to be probably pretty happy about that, not a lot of other people are. I think Angelina Jolie tried to patent her genes or something. But anyway, NFTs, again, big topic. I felt completely out of my depth during that, but if anyone wants to talk about NFTs afterwards, I'm sure there are a few people around who want to talk about that. But it's a kind of crazy topic, people making lots of money, but how do you utilize NFTs for the media industry? So again, a bit too much to talk about right now. But other big things are environmental sustainability is a massive topic for this, as well as consumer cloud. So people have been using cloud for years and they don't even know it. So if you're kind of on Office 365 or something like that, people have been using Dropbox. All these things have been driven from whether we're in the M&E industry or outside, and they're kind of converging into one. So there's a massive now culture in consumer, and we're seeing that with everything is kind of available almost instantly on demand, and the culture has completely changed of how they consume that media as well. I mean, a massive point that came out of streaming is finally overtaking cable and TV in the US. I mean, that is huge. And it changes what we use as our kind of standard consumer device. It's not television and cinema anymore. It's mobile phones, tablets, laptops, Apple TVs, other streaming devices. And a good point of that is, Coda winning the best film at the Oscars. That was on a streaming platform, not delivered to the cinema, as we would expect kind of most best films to win. AI and machine learning, huge topic. Again, there's a lot to cover during that. But everything from, the hype in 2018 where we had AI kind of emerge for our industry, but there's a lot of challenges that come across it as well. So, everything from automatic transcription, audio conform, color pipelines, even to the full automated edit. So I'll give you a couple of examples shortly. But the DPP came up with a couple of golden rules for AI in media. So necessity being the mother of innovation. The hype has kind of gone away, and we've gone away from using generic tools for media workflows to actually focus tools that are used to do specific things that we use every day. So factory processes and content, for instance, transcription, we use that every day. AI image recognition or in our MAM systems, these things are built in and we can use them whenever we like. Those are the things that we need to kind of really be using. And a couple of examples, sorry for us in the UK, but when HBO Max launched in Latin America, 1 to 40 countries, they used automated audio conform to save 60% of time on manual fixes. I mean, that's pretty huge, certainly for us in the post industry. But it's kind of how do we utilize those things? And big companies like this are able to leverage those tools. And Associated Press as well. So with their transcription, shot detection, visual analysis, they're creating rough cut EDLs for the editors automatically based on metadata. It's very, very clever stuff and can save a lot of time. And then we get into the problem with kind of fully automated versus human enhanced AI as well. So it's only as good as what we're teaching it to do. So it can go off and do its own thing, kind of think Skynet kind of style. But, do we teach it, does it have a fully automated common vocabulary for stuff that it looks for? Or do we teach it what it's looking for? And I think we're only going to get the best out of these tools if we teach it well. People are a robot's best friend technically. And then risk versus reward, the value of AI and machine learning, it can only come from what we give it. And we've got to have a mutual benefit between everybody rather than just using it for the sake of using it. And I think a lot of companies have gone, we should be using AI, we should be doing this, but why? If there's no mutual benefit to that, then it's a massive cost implication as well. And then revenue versus saving. Everyone wants to save money and make more of it. That's never going to go away. And automation can help. It will speed up processes, reduces time to market, and effectively allow you more time to take on more work. So it can only be a benefit going forward if we use the right tools in the right manner and not just using it for AI's sake, basically. A huge investment into virtual production this year at the HPA. So we were, as you can see, there's the seminar centre there, and this was a whole wall at the back. And halfway through the first day, they just pulled the massive wall at the back, slid it all into the side, and we were presented with 3 massive LED screens. If you're unaware what virtual production stage looks like, it's basically a huge set of LED walls. If you're familiar with The Mandalorian, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we had various vendors demonstrating their solutions and backed up by people like Ari, for instance, and you're allowed to kind of get proper hands-on with the camera tracking software and stuff like that and see how things are done from there. And there's a kind of nice shot of the middle stage there with the curved LED and Moses kind of driving automated tracking systems depending on where you're standing and where the zoom is. It's very, very clever. So again, if you're familiar with The Mandalorian, it's kind of set the stage for, it is the benchmark for all virtual production. And it gives us this idea of working in the volume rather than work on the set. It's the first time I've heard that phrase used. And virtual production isn't new. We've been doing this for kind of about a century now. So this is kind of what we're looking at nowadays in the volume with the LED wall. But we've got, we've been doing rear projection for so long, good old James Bond there, and green screen. This stuff's been used in news, sports, weather, TV, film studios, TV studios for years and years and years. So it isn't new. But what is different this time? So this time the LED screens are actually used for lighting as well. So we're getting natural lighting. We're getting consistent time of day. So if you offer a director, the golden hour to 12 hours, I'm sure he's not going to turn that down. That classic example of, Top Gun, 1985 when they shot that, and Tony Scott said, I need the aircraft carrier going in that direction. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Do it. If you gave him the opportunity to have that for 12 hours and shoot, I'm sure he wouldn't turn that down. But stuff like natural reflections, that's actually coming from the LED lighting, and live reflection. So if you've got an actor who has a visor that's giving you live reflection, you can actually put LEDs in front of him. So again, it saves a lot of time in post-production. So no more rotoscoping and no more kind of green screen artifacts and kind of having to take that the VFX part a bit further. And it also gives us this concept of the VAD, or the visual art department, as well. So with virtual scouting, environmental changes, I want to change the time of day immediately. I want that bin moved from there to there. I want this there and I want it now. Again, coming back to that kind of now culture of the things we want. And this idea of pre-visualization and technical visualization. And with the crossover with the gaming industry, we've got to a point now where post-production is pre-production, which is completely different to what we're used to. So all this stuff is being designed before they've even shot it. The post-production side, for some of it's already been done. The director's already in a virtual world who can put on a VR headset, walk around the stage before it's even been built and go, no, change that. And it's a massive game changer for what we do and can save so much time on post. We've done some really interesting work with in the virtual production space as well with our partners Disguise. If you want any more information about the stuff that we've done on virtual production afterwards, Sebastian Canlow at the back there is our guy. Put your hand up, Seb. There he is, running the camera today. But he's our guy when it comes to virtual production. Color pipelines. So another strong point on this was kind of automated color pipelines. And there's a few guys who work in color around here. So this idea of the fully automated technical grade. Again, all these things are designed to save time in post. So allowing an image fingerprint or a DNA of a file with the metadata to make a base grade or that technical grade, which kind of leaves more time for you to do the fun part, which is the actual grade, to get the actual look that you want. And the idea of this is to use working with the camera manufacturers like Arri, etc., to get metadata out of the camera and work as a super LUT to go all the way through to the VFX stage. So again, saving a lot of time in that menial task of the technical grade, which I think any grader would tell you is the worst part of their job. There's some updates on ASUS as well, and some color processing with OpenIO version 2. If you want any more information, come and see us at the end. It's a bit too much to kind of cram in today. Cloud, so everybody's favorite subject. So the problem we have at the moment is actually defining cloud. What is it? So, it's basically become an umbrella term for it's not a specific set of tools, and it's become a catch-all term for everything. Everyone thinks this cloud is just kind of up there in the ether somewhere, but that can mean anything. It doesn't define a vendor or a solution, and it can be public or private. That could be running up in AWS, that could be in Azure, it could be in your private data center. That is the cloud. And I think we've kind of gotten to a point where no one is really defining it properly in this space. And we also need a reality check for cloud media workflows as well. So Richard Jenkins, one of the heads of Warner Brothers, stood up, and one of my favorite quotes of the week was, cloud will not save money, but it may save time. And that's absolutely true. Cloud is expensive currently, but it can save time if the right tools are used. Again, going back to the AI example. And on-premise is not a dirty word. Everyone's going, oh yeah, we need to do the cloud. We don't want to be on-premise. But I think it's a necessity still at the moment based on the cloud versus on-premise costs. At the moment, I don't think we can move away from that, and I'll kind of unpack that a little bit more in a minute. And that cost comparison to private cloud and virtualization stuff is quite an interesting topic. Our partners Nutanix are here today as well, so they'll unpack their solution. But this is a kind of really interesting thing that we did that I saw at the Brutanix event that we did with these guys last week. So this is kind of a 3-year Nutanix total cost of ownership versus a similar scenario in Azure, for instance, based over a 3-year. And the total cost of ownership in Azure is 152.6%. And that's huge over 3 years. So if you take into CapEx and OpEx costs into consideration, all bundled into your private data center versus running all this in cloud currently, it's pretty intriguing. So I'll let the guys do the Nutanix thing, and Graham's going to talk about the Jigsaw side of Nutanix a little bit later as well. So where are we? So cloud first. And this is massive emphasis on if we're going to go to a cloud-based workflow, we need to start as cloud first. Most companies use cloud second, so they're either uploading something afterwards to the cloud and then working on it, but we need to start defining this cloud first style workflow. But what happens when the cloud gets cloudy? And I love this term. It's, what about internet outages, data center outages, et cetera, et cetera? We have to take all that into consideration. So when you have your on-premise estate as well as your cloud estate, there has to be some kind of compromise there between the two. And, it isn't uncommon for these things to happen. And then security. I think there is a general conception of the fact that the cloud isn't secure, it's up there, I don't know where it is. This stuff is being used by the military, via financial, medical, education. All this stuff is being done up there for years and years and years, whether we've known about it or not. The cloud is absolutely secure. And it's, rather than having kind of data dotted around everywhere between maybe some of it's in the cloud, whatever you define the cloud as, or whether it's on your LTOs or whether you've got it on a NAS here or your fast storage here or something there, it can get lost. If you centralize everything into the cloud, then, and it's managed by something, we know it's secure enough to have it there. So what needs to change for us to kind of start adopting, cloud fully for M&E? I mean, it's okay for documents and things like that. We've been doing this for a long time with Dropbox and Office 365, etc. Egress has got to go. We're already paying for that service. You're paying for that data to be put up there. You're paying for the compute power of an AWS instance, for instance. So why are we still paying egress? And that's something that the cloud providers need to really look strongly at. There are a couple of companies out there who offer no egress, but that is it's a pretty contentious subject when you start to unpack it, because they want to make money, but also they want more people to adopt the cloud. And I think if you get rid of egress from there, it makes it a lot more enticing and a lot more palatable for cost-wise to be able to do that. But we also need to focus on value rather than just moving to cloud for cloud's sake. Why are we using it? If there's no need to use it just because it's cool, or there's something up there that we use, but we don't use all of it, we've got to look at what the value is, the stuff that we're actually using up there. And I'm going to just quote Jeff Rossiker from Maverick, actually, who said this at HP as well. So to make all this happen, all companies must become aligned for the sake of the industry. Now, that's a very easy thing to say. And we all know all vendors have different ways. They all want to make money and they all want part of your business. But we must deliver a multi-cloud solution. And when I start talking about the evolution of media creation from Media Labs, I'll go through those a little bit more in a bit. Remote working, again, a massive topic. What is remote working? You're on-premise versus home working. But if you're working in the cloud and you're on-premise, aren't you remote working? Just a thought. Everyone thinks, if you're remote working, you're only working from home. Well, you're not. All of our stuff is in as a data center. So am I remote working sitting in our demo room? Yeah, I am. But this whole idea of home working, it's been accelerated massively by COVID, and it's been a massive break change in the way that we've done things historically. You guys work at facilities who've used to a core infrastructure, but moving that stuff out isn't the easiest thing to do, but is the way things are going. We deliver a comprehensive set of solutions for remote working, to give you that kind of best on-premise style experience, whether it's in public or private cloud. So if you want kind of any more information, come and see any one of the Jigsaw guys or myself afterwards, and we can talk you through that. And then my quote of the week, and this comes from the DPP, direct from them, which I'm going to get a show of hands in a minute to see what you think. But home working will be the exception rather than the rule. And there's no data to back this up at all, which I was quite taken aback with. There's an interesting look of the couple of thousand faces around us in the seminar hall going, interesting. Could I get a quick show of hands? Who thinks that that's true? The exception, yeah? Rather than the rule. Only a couple, interesting. Okay, cool. I'd like to have that conversation over a beer afterwards. Be good. But yeah, every conversation I have in demos or meetings, people are talking about, we want to be able to do this, but we need to be able to do it from home as well. Because again, with COVID accelerating all that. The tool sets that we can use are set up now for you to work from home, basically. And then the Movie Labs presented their evolution of media creation, their 10-year vision for the future of media creation. So it's their 2030 plan. Again, I'm not going to go through all this. It's a very comprehensive 50-page guide on how they think media workflow is going to look at 2030. And there's the kind of main points out of it. And I'll just kind of highlight a couple, just to say, could we be there by 2030? So all assets are created or ingested straight into the cloud and do not need to be moved. I think that's pretty doable, if I'm honest. I think some companies are doing all of that now. I think, can everybody move to that by 2030 in 8 years? Absolutely. The way this has been accelerated, I don't see a problem with that at all. And individual media elements are referenced, accessed, tracked, and interrelated using a universal system. That's a slightly more tricky one. With different vendors, fighting for slightly different pieces of the pie, that could be a very tricky one. But again, I'm not going to leave this up there for too long because there's quite a lot to go through. But what I've put up there is if you've got your camera phone with you, your smartphone, if you want to kind of snap that QR code quickly, that'll take you directly to the 50-page document where you can read thoroughly through all of those points, and then give us some feedback and see what you think about where we can be in 2030. Just leave that there a sec. We've got it. So what are the takeaways that we got from there? Massive transformation in the way we've been working. And again, all accelerated via COVID. Whether it's on premise, on the cloud, the whole media industry has changed in the past few years. Everything is available almost instantly. And I think that's something that we've not been used to historically. You still have to shoot something and it still have to arrive and you put it on here, but now we can shoot directly to the cloud and have it available straight away. Streaming overtaking cable and satellite, I think, is just massive. The way we're consuming media is completely different. Yes, it's nothing new that what we've been doing, but the level it's at now is above and beyond anything that we've ever been seen before. But what an amazing time to be in the M&E industry. It's changing so fast, and we're at the kind of forefront of this, and we're kind of pretty honoured to be, to be able to get our hands on these tools when they're built, aren't we? So we're helping build that, not just us as a solutions provider, but you as the customer. You guys will be the hands on to these tools that will be created, and it's really exciting. And we're looking forward to kind of working with you guys to create those kind of futures, those solutions for the future.